And now, we've come to the portion of our show where we have to ask, what just happened? We can't believe it either, but let's take a look back at the insanity that was this week and look ahead to what will make us facepalm next week. This is What Just Happened on the Dean Obeidallah Show. Take it away, Dean.
And welcome back to the show, brothers and sisters of the resistance, my fellow patriots. Friday, October 19th. It's Friday, the third hour. It means what just happened. We look back at some of the week, try to have some fun if possible. Right now, two great people with me in studio. Carolina Hidalgo is back, comedian, podcaster with Movie Sign with a Mad, which she co-hosts. Carolina, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much.
Were you live streaming the live stream? Because we're live streaming on Facebook.com/Dean of Radio and live at Dean Obeidallah on Twitter because we figured out how to do multi-stream same time. Boom. And YouTube.
And I'm covering the Insta stories right now for you.
Excellent. And then sitting next to her, the one, the only Evan Siegfried, Republican author of GOP GPS, How to Find Millennials and Urban Voters, the Republican Party Needs to Survive. Evan, what are you doing?
I'm trying to fix my headphones because they went out because Matt, the producer.
Oh, it's broken. I think you're a jack. Is that broken?
You just got to plug it in.
Just like my soul currently.
Well, I think that would make sense in your party. So you can't hear, you're not going to be able to hear the clips. Matt's trying to fix it. It looks like something is jammed in that jack there, Matt. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
This studio, folks, you don't know what goes on in here. It's like Fight Club when we leave here.
Dean's not wearing pants for some reason.
That's my typical thing on Friday. I don't do that. So let's talk about the breaking news before you guys came in. The Saudis have admitted that Jamal Khashoggi is dead, and he died in a quarrel with a bone saw, apparently, and he is gone. He is dead, and their cover story is, as you see behind you, in quotes, the word quarrel, and that was a fist fight, and somehow he died.
Yeah,
Evan?
and by fist fight, it means torturing. There was a report out 2 days ago that the first thing they did was they cut his fingers off while he still was alive just to mess with him and to make his life even
Tougher
worse.
to have a fist fight.
It would be hard to win a fight like that.
Well, he still
Right,
technically would have fists at
Right,
that point,
just
but
no-
just,
no fingers.
not effective ones. And then, he... I mean, the thing that really bugs me is that the Trump administration is not going to make any sort of move themselves to really send a message that this type of thing is unacceptable and it cannot be done. And the only ones who will be a bipartisan group of senators, and they're going to ram it down the White House's throat. And they're going to dare President Trump to veto it.
Carolina, what do you think, my friend? This latest news that just broke before you walked in this room.
Right. Well, being someone from South America, knowing what a fair fight sounds like, the South Americans would be like, yeah, there was 20 of them or whatever. Right. Obviously, it just seems to be one story after another. And we're going to hear more stuff and more interesting details as the weekend goes by. Because why not release something on a Friday night?
It is remarkable. You're right. It seems like the Saudis...
And what time is it in Saudi Arabia right now?
It's the middle of the night right now in Saudi Arabia. I think it's more like 1954 in Saudi Arabia right now. What about... I think that Mike Pompeo went over there and they're Jared Kushner and they worked a cover story out for the Saudis. That's why they went there. He didn't want to put it in writing. And this story we have now is this plausible deniability. The quarrel,
You're accusing the administration of having competence. I think that Pompeo went over there and just said, hey,
you got to
what
come
happened?
up with a story.
No, just said, you tell us what happened. Okay, we don't want to endanger our relationship because remember, Saudi Arabia is key for the Trump administration's plans for Iran and going after them. And
I agree.
This is something for Trump and his administration that is just it's annoying like a fly you can't
It's
catch.
like levels of hating Muslims because Republicans have been marinating in anti-Muslim hate. So who do they hate more?
I hate Muslims.
Right, that's it. But you've got the Shia Muslims in Iran are apparently the most hated, and the Sunnis, because they're Saudi and they're buying weapons, are second on the list now. Because the right still hates Muslims, not you. I'm not pointing at you when I'm pointing at you right now. I'm pointing right at you.
I personally hate
pointing,
you.
actually.
I'm pointing right at you, but
You have to say j'accuse.
What, Carolina? Do you think does it smell like the Jared Kushner and Mike Pompeo helped write a cover story to have plausible deniability? Because to me, quarrel is the locker room talk of 2018.
There's no doubt in my mind, as a person who has nothing to do with politics, and I got to give you my professional opinion on that, the fact that they knew about this. I mean, everyone knows that. And the fact that it just becomes like another story. It is exactly that. I think they knew about this a week ago, right? Isn't that something that we all can agree on?
Yes.
Including with Jared? And everyone, like, he can
Because there was some audio the Turks had bugged the embassy, apparently. That's what we're getting.
And it could also be the Apple Watch.
My question is, like, why did this all begin, though? Like, I want to know, like, how did this start where this guy walks into an embassy and then...
Boom.
They lured him in because
it was the second
he wanted
time.
to get married, and he needed to get a document for his fiancee so they could get married. And
he went in the first time, and they said, come back on this date. And he told his friends, I was warmly welcomed there at the embassy. He wasn't concerned. Went back the second time. I told his fiancee, stay outside. I'll be back. Now, if she didn't stay there, perhaps they could have went with their story about he had left. But to me, it would be like the shortest episode of CSI ever. The video has him going in. He never comes out. They go, it was the Saudis. Roll credits. We're done. So here, let's play. This is Trevor Noah earlier in the week talking about Trump defending the Saudis by invoking Brett Kavanaugh, to me, which was one of the most stunning things I've heard. And I've heard a lot this last couple of years. Here's clip number 7, please, Lauren.
Not only has he said, despite evidence, that he believes Saudi Arabia's side of the story, he's also said that they are the real victims here.
And on the idea of trusting the Saudis, Trump said, quote, well, I think we have to find out what happened first. Here we go again with, you're guilty until proven innocent. I don't like that. We just went through that with Justice Kavanaugh, and he was innocent all the way.
Are you kidding me? Brett Kavanaugh? You're going to bring Brett Kavanaugh into this? I like how Trump's way of dealing with an extremely sensitive issue is to bring in another extremely sensitive issue. He's like, here to discuss school shooting, special guest speaker, Bill Cosby, everybody. Bill Cosby. Ooh, the kids with the guns and the boom, boom, bing. I mean, poor Supreme Court Justice for life, Brett Kavanaugh. He just got finished with one giant controversy, and now you're going to drag him into another one? I mean, how do you feel about this, Brett?
I still like beer.
My man.
I still like beer. For Donald Trump to defend the Saudis, to me, I understand why the deal for the weapons and the Iran thing, but I don't know how politically, how do you think this plays out?
I think it's not going to play out that much politically in terms of the midterms. I think that voters care more about the economy and health care, and then Republican voters care more about immigration and the economy.
Right.
And in terms of how it's going to play out, well, first of all, we've seen the White House's statement in reaction to this, and it is the most lukewarm. It doesn't.
What's their statement? Because I've been sitting here.
I've only seen snippets, but it's just sort of like, yep, we've acknowledged he's dead. We ask that the investigation continue more. But I'm reading that and I'm thinking to myself, the way Trump has been defending the Saudis for this, it's almost 2-3 days from now, we're going to have him saying, no, Khashoggi dismembered himself and he killed himself. It was really a suicide. But Saudi Arabia's credibility is nil on this. For 17 days, they knew what happened and they have delayed and their stories have shifted. But if you really want to have action taken by this White House, why don't we go back a few months to when the Saudis used American weaponry on a school bus full of Yemeni children? Wasn't it 22 children were killed with our own weapons?
I think it's actually more than
I am
that, yes.
all for leveling the Saudi regime with sanctions. I want to see them hurt. Mohammed bin Salman, MBS is a much easier way to say.
Right.
He is somebody who is not a friend. Oh yes, he's letting women drive while he's locking up the top women's rights proponents. He locks up all his multitude of cousins in a luxury jail, which wasn't it the Ritz-Carlton?
It was actually literally the Ritz-Carlton.
In order to get out, you had to sign off all your
You had
wealth.
to call all your friends like the thing, like, I'm in jail, give me money, I'm in the Ritz. Well, hang on, room service is here. What's going on?
And it's a room service is a lawyer handing you a legal document, signing over everything you ever owned to the Saudi royal family.
So, Carolina, you're from are you born in South America?
No, I was born in New York City.
Okay.
Lived here for about 6 months as a baby.
Really? And then you had enough and you stormed out of the country?
I stormed out, yes, in my diaper.
So, with your experience looking at South America and everything, when you see this and you know America's track record, has America not backed other horrible dictators and rulers who've killed their own people before because it's in our best interest as a nation?
Oh, yeah, that's called grade school.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Yeah,
what...
we support Canada.
Oh, but no.
Build the wall
One
on
thing-
the northern border.
I wanted. There is a question I did want to ask, and it's not necessarily. I mean, South America has its own huge thing of problems. We don't have
Well,
enough
we're going
time
to
for
make
that.
America Venezuela soon. So tell us about Venezuela because we're making America like Venezuela apparently.
Apparently we are. But my question is, I really do. When you were talking about this, Evan, about the Saudis and the government, like especially Trump backing, like pretty much backing and
Can I just
defending.
pause and point out this is the first time a woman has paid attention to what I've said in any setting
It's
in a
only
long
and
time.
it's artificial just for this show, and then she'll never speak to you again when we're gone.
Can I send you my therapist bill now that you've crushed my bubble?
I'm sorry.
My question
the
is,
little things that bring
Dean,
me joy. As I tell everyone. Go ahead, sorry.
No, what happened? Remember after 9/11 and Bush and that whole Saudi, like, that whole situation, like, haven't we seen this kind of thing before, though? Like, I mean, I remember I was a teenager back then. I remember reading a lot of stories about it, a lot of things being swept under the rug, a lot of things that people don't even talk about anymore. So is this going to be another one of those stories that we're not going to even remember 15 years from now?
Well, first of all, it's the most serious challenge to U.S.-Saudi relations since 9/11. 15 of the 19 hijackers on 9/11 were Saudis.
So it's like
And
cicadas, like every 15 years. It just goes.
The cicada principle. I like that.
But
Very interesting.
it was Bush protected the Saudi government and made it so that victims couldn't sue.
Okay, so
And
how,
families of victims on 9/11 couldn't sue the Saudi government.
right.
And then there was legislation in Congress under Obama so that they could. And Obama kept or killed that legislation as well. So it continued from Bush through Obama.
Okay.
And Trump has continued that as well. But there hasn't been a big push
all about
to
the
make
oil.
it. But I think Lindsey Graham, as much to the chagrin of your listeners, is right. MBS should not be the leader. He's of
He's
Saudi
not gonna
Arabia.
be gone.
He has
They
shown
arrested
he is
18 people,
not
and
somebody
they-
who can play on the world stage.
Well, because he
But Lindsey Graham, to his credit, is calling for massive sanctions that would put him and his family, not the Saudi Arabian people, back into the Stone Age. And you know what? Good for them.
How do you do that? He's got billions of dollars in the bank, in his banks.
You sanction all of the banks. You stop doing business. You end all of these arms deals. Trump says, "Oh, this arms deal that we got, the $100 billion
Trump's
arms
not
deal
gonna
that
end the
doesn't
arms
exact.
deal.
Well, the
Right.
arms deal doesn't exactly exist, so you can't end something that doesn't exist." Correct. I mean, if the Senate comes out and does it in the bipartisan fashion that it's done, you're going to see a fight between the senators from both parties against the White House. And that's not what the White House wants going into a presidential campaign. Because remember what happens November 7th, win-lose for Democrats for the House and the Senate? The presidential campaign begins. Democrats are running.
Yeah, it slightly began. We'll touch on Liz Warren already a little bit.
I hope he.
Did you just make a Native American joke? At
Don't
her
sue me.
Oh gosh.
Oh my God, Carolina! Anyone you want to throw anything from your drink accidentally at him? We don't.
I didn't book him.
That's a good point. Nicely played. So let's talk about journalists in America being roughed up and beaten up, and the president of the United States cheering that. Greg Gianforte, which I covered earlier in the show last year, in May 2017, beat up the reporter for The Guardian, who's actually going to be on CNN in a few minutes. I think he was actually on.
Ben Jacobs.
Ben Jacobs. I was looking for his name. And here's the audio of Ben Jacobs being roughed up by Greg Gianforte. Clip number 3, please.
We'll talk to you about that later.
Yeah, but there's not going to be time. I'm just curious if you have
Okay,
the
speak
right
with
now.
Shane, please.
But you don't.
Sick and tired of you guys. The last guy that came in here, you did the same thing. Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. The last guy did the same thing. You were the Guardian.
Yes, and you just broke my glasses.
The last guy did the same damn thing.
You just body slammed me and broke my glasses.
Get the hell out of here.
If you'd like me to get the hell out of here, I'd also like to call the police. Can I get you guys' names?
Hey, you gotta leave.
He just body slammed me.
You gotta leave.
So you have that. You've got him beaten up by Greg Gianforte, who's now a member of Congress, who did plead guilty to a misdemeanor, paid a fine, and apologized, which was the right thing
And
to
he
do.
also donated to
$50,000
to
to the
a
committee
charity
to
that
protect
deals
journalists.
with
Right.
journalism.
$50. Donald Trump's response slightly different yesterday. Here is Donald Trump. We'll play part of. Here's clip number 4.
But Greg is smart. And by the way, never wrestle him. You understand that? Never. Any guy that can do a body slam, he's my kind of... I shouldn't say this because there's nothing to be embarrassed about. So I was in Rome with a lot of the leaders from other countries talking about all sorts of things. And I heard about it. And we endorsed Greg very early. But I had heard that he body slammed a reporter.
Yeah, Carolina, that is something. I mean, that's something like an MBS speech almost. And then he cut his fingers off. Carolina, what's your reaction to hearing the person who is, air quote, President of the United States, cheering a physical assault, not a figurative one, not a literal one where we just heard it, and then you have the President of the United States cheering it and getting a crowd to cheer physically assaulting reporters for simply asking questions?
It totally reminds me of Guyana, a little thing called Jonestown. It really feels like that kind of cult mentality of him being egged on and him feeling like the power and the encouragement of actually saying that it's okay to be violent against a journalist who is just asking questions and doing his job. It's actually kind of infuriating. I do, yes. I mean, of course, like,
so
what do we expect?
There's Kool-Aid involved? There was a Kool-Aid?
It's Flavor Aid, actually.
It's Flavor Aid. So you're Evan?
I'm shaking my head because, Carolina, I'm sorry, you're completely wrong.
And how am I
It's
wrong?
not Jonestown. It's Scientology because it's buying into the scam and the grift. You know
what? Evan is right. Body slam me later, but not in that way.
No. I would never body slam a comedian because that would be just wrong. Nor would I body slam a reporter. The worst thing I've ever done to a reporter was I sent them a message on Signal telling them that I hated their story and they really upset me and go screw themselves. That's the worst.
That's the right approach.
That's the right approach. Use your words, and my words might be wrapped around a brick, but okay.
But it is infuriating to make this guy who couldn't even answer questions. He was just fed up, and his only option was to use violence. That is the sign of
he shouldn't have done that. But
absolutely.
The joke is, if people saw the level of candidates we run on both sides of the aisle, they're either really stupid or have anger problems. We're not getting the best and brightest running for Congress because of how just it doesn't get anything done. We get people who are grifters. I mean, your local insurance broker or insurance adjuster is far more qualified to be in Congress because they deal with a lot worse stuff, and we get people with anger issues like Greg Gianforte. And I don't see it as a specifically Republican problem. I see it as a both sides problem where obviously we haven't had Democrats assault or Democratic congressional candidates assault a reporter, thank God, and I hope we don't.
But it's just about normalizing something like that and being like, oh, he's a tough guy because he didn't want to take shit from nobody.
Tough cookie. That's the word he used today.
He's pathetic.
And you know what? I think the vast majority of the country is pissed off and fed up with this type of language and behavior of Donald Trump. And I think it's going to play out on November 6th.
It's embarrassing, especially as someone from another country. It is very humiliating because you take America at a higher level than your own like third world country, and then you see this kind of thing like we're all the same. It's really sad.
But it's got great ratings.
Yeah, it does.
But here's the thing, talking about November 6th, a new poll came out with CBS right now, tonight, and it shows Trump's handling, people feel about the economy. It's like way over 70% feel good about it. And the next time it was that close was like 80% in 1998 when Bill Clinton, we had the big boom. That same poll.
That was called the Lewinsky scandal.
Right, the Lewinsky scandal. And the same poll has Donald Trump with a 39% approval rating. The idea, it's interesting Americans can disconnect a really good economy and not give credit to that guy because they disagree with him on everything else. Overwhelmingly on Kavanaugh. Oh my God. It was like this new poll, like 55% disagree with the way he handled it, about 38% agree. On immigration, almost similar numbers. So it's very interesting that a president with this kind of strong economy right now is not getting the credit going into a midterm.
Well, I've been breaking down the numbers for quite a while and looking at the economy and what issues are important to voters. And we've shifted from, the first 6 to 8 months of the Trump presidency where the majority to plurality of voters gave former President Obama the credit for it because there is a lag. It's about a 9-month lag for any president. And then it's shifted over where Trump's getting either the majority or plurality from the American electorate saying, yeah, he's responsible.
Right.
But you're missing the follow-up question. If you ask somebody, is the economy doing well? They'll say, yeah. Is the economy doing well for you? The majority say either their financial situation has not changed or has gotten worse. So that's part of the disconnect.
That's interesting. Rick Unger brings that up all the time.
And that's the real thing. And I've always said that Democrats on the campaign trail, if they talk about the economy, should say, yeah, the economy's doing great. but is it doing great for you? And if you ask that question again and again and again, people are still worried about paying their bills. They're seeing the deficit. I mean, my party, all of the deficit hawks seem to have vanished. I'm a deficit hawk, and we're hitting $1 trillion. We've gone up 17% in the deficit in a single year under Trump because of the tax cut bill. That's absolutely fiscally irresponsible. But hey, if people lived like that, we'd be going to debtor's prison if they still existed.
Carolina, what do you think? You think it's interesting that the economy on its paper is doing well, but people don't like, you think they just don't like Trump as a human being? Is that what this is really going on? To have these horrible, he's got a horrible approval on him. And the brand new CBS poll just out, it gets an A- rating from 538, so it's a good poll. 39% approval rating in this poll, yet over 70% think the economy is going well.
Exactly what Evan said. For me personally, I've seen my health care go up a lot. And I'm not a sick person. I just go in for regular checkups, and then I get something in the mail being like, oh, we're going to up this by 2%. Of course, nothing in your life has changed. And so you can see the actual change on paper. And that kind of thing, people can see that, and then they could just throw it away. I'll pay an extra $100 because we're saving babies from their wombs or something like that. And they think it's for the greater good. And in that case, it's just really, I've seen it a lot with Hispanic families and my friends, a lot of their aunts and relatives and stuff like that. They come from very religious backgrounds. And so they're just single issue voters in that sense, where they see that prices go up and they have to pay more and it's going bad for them. But they do think it's kind of like, well, this, God will provide, will be okay or something like that.
Wow.
You're touching on something before you got to the God will provide single issue aspect, healthcare. And
yes.
I've been saying that is going to be the biggest issue, barring some sort of massive
it hurts me
thing
already.
that happens in the next 18 days. We're seeing the number one issue for almost every demographic and Americans as a whole, and most important issue for this election, healthcare. And we're seeing cost of care go up. And Democrats have been very smart. This is the first election they've basically run on Obamacare as a point of pride because they were tarred and feathered with it for all the election cycles after it was passed. And we're seeing Democrats say, we're going to help increase access to care and lower the cost of care. And that's something we should all strive to do.
Yes.
I think there are simple things that Republicans and Democrats can agree to, such as Medicare and Medicaid reform, in a way that wouldn't impact or eligibility, but just how it's reimbursed and helping technology to do it. But that's a conversation for another day.
We got to take a break. And healthcare, every Democratic candidate I've talked to, healthcare around the nation has been healthcare. And polls show nearly 20% gap in Americans thinking Democrats are better suited to handle their healthcare issue than Republicans. And there's good reason to. Let's take a break, though. Come right back with more of the Dean Obeidallah Show and what just happened after this. November 6, 2018 isn't just Election Day. It is Judgment Day for progressives and our vision of this country.
Don't go anywhere. This is the Dean Obeidallah Show on SiriusXM Progress 127.
Your entire week's exhausting news broken down in one hilarious hour. What Just Happened is now live with Dean Obeidallah.
And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah Show, here with Carolina Hidalgo, comedian, co-host of the podcast Movie Signs with the Mads, and Evan Siegfried, Republican. You see him on cable all the time fighting with Mark Thompson. That was just today.
It wasn't a fight.
Well, I heard it was a fight.
I was rebutting him with the facts.
Oh, he told me it was a fight. Oh, was it a quarrel? Was there a bone saw involved?
No, come on. You think
I heard Matt told me
saw?
you fought Mark Thompson today on MSNBC.
Shut up, devil.
That was Mark Thompson. That's what happened.
That was
Mark,
Stephanie Rule.
So let's talk about I'm sorry. Let's talk about Liz Warren and her this week coming out and saying, revealing her DNA test on her own. No one pushed her now to do it. She releases them. Carolina, what was your reaction just overall to her releasing the DNA test showing that she's of some Native American ancestry?
I don't understand why she did it at all. Evan. No, I honestly don't see why. She tried to fight that kind of fight against Trump, and you can't win against a bully. You can try your best, but she's not. Why would she do something like that? Honestly, I found it a little disheartening and a little
interesting. Yeah,
because what's the point of that? You're just playing into his game, like releasing the birth certificate. I didn't agree with this. Well, instead you're just playing along with the bully, the guy who can just. Excuse me, but I'm just saying, he does not care regardless of what you do.
Right, his base doesn't care.
Yeah, it's not going to change anyone's mind.
Evan, as a political strategist, at what point does a candidate or a person in office actually have to address the kind of allegations like the birth certificate or even this thing with the DNA?
The birth certificate and this were far different things. The birtherism was a racist campaign to delegitimize the first African-American president in American history. It's shameful and in one of the darkest periods of recent
But Obama
history.
made a choice, for whatever reason, to release his birth certificate to end that issue. Because I assume whatever they're doing, their focus group, their polling, something hit them to go, this is important enough to do it. What do you think that metric is?
For the metric for Obama, I don't know. But here, from a purely political point of view, and also I do want to give the facts because I think there were some misconceptions on Twitter based upon some of my left-leaning followers as to what the whole controversy was. People were saying that Donald Trump is the one who started this. Actually, it was Scott Brown in 2012. Oh. In April 2012, a report came out that said that Elizabeth Warren, when she was a law professor at the University of Pennsylvania and then at Harvard, was listed as a woman or a minority. And then Fordham Law Review in 1997 published an article saying that Elizabeth Warren was a woman of color teaching at Harvard University. And so this sort of dogged her, and it started coming out in April 2012 and more in May as the Boston papers started looking into it. And then Warren was asked, well, can you prove it? And she said, well, my family always told me. And also, many of my family members have high cheekbones, so therefore we probably are.
Right.
And you're like, okay. But she was inducted that same year or the year before into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame for famous Oklahomans. And she had talked about, in the context of her Native American heritage, not at this induction or anything having to do with the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, but she had talked about how it was a point of pride and how that really made up her identity, and it was something she was always proud of and would talk about at any instance. But at the Oklahoma Hall of Fame induction, she never talked about it, and she said, I'm an Okie through and through, as purebred Okie as it can be. And in the 80s, she contributed a couple of recipes to a cookbook called the Pow Wow Cookbook, put together by the 5 tribes nations. And her entries were signed Elizabeth Warren, Cherokee. So she didn't just identify as having Native American heritage.
Right.
She said she was a Cherokee.
But in the 1980s, though, it wasn't like she was running for office or something. No, she sincerely thought she was Cherokee.
It's sort of the joke. Mel Brooks told a joke that he wrote a self-help book called You Are What You Think You Are If You Think You Are.
Right.
And that's sort of what it was. But Scott Brown raised it as an issue of this is her honesty. And she said, listen, I wasn't actively going out and promoting myself with these law schools. But at the same time, she wasn't going out and telling them to stop doing it, which I think that's a question she has to answer. But meanwhile, she goes out in March 2016 and does that big Facebook post saying Donald Trump is awful. He's a threat to American values. And she stated several things I personally agree with about Donald Trump. Trump heard about it 6-7 weeks later and attacked her on Twitter, and it was the first time he ever mentioned it, saying she's goofy Elizabeth Warren, and he made an Indian joke, but he didn't call her Pocahontas. Now, the Pocahontas joke comes from a joke that was going on within conservative circles calling her Focahontas. Because Trump is an idiot most of the time, he couldn't complete the joke, so he couldn't get it to be Focahontas. He just kept on saying Pocahontas because he couldn't remember the line. And that's sort of how it went. And it became this sort of, for the right, it was a rallying cry because we genuinely detest the vast majority of her policies, and the further right you go, the more venom that was there. And it's not to the level of we want to body slam Elizabeth Warren, we just want to rhetorically body slam. But I'm glad you didn't say
people on the right were upset that she may have lied because they support Donald Trump, a serial liar. So that would be hypocritical. So at least we have
my
that.
party has hypocrites? My God.
No, I'm saying like that's no, it wasn't that. Like, because if they were going to say maybe she lied about it, and they still, not you, those who rally around Trump, who say, she's a liar. I'm like, you're defending Donald Trump, a serial liar who's, I think, a sociopath, to be quite frank, probably psychopath.
He can't even spell that word. Come on.
All right, so hang on.
But the one you asked about the political, and I'll give 30 seconds to quickly get there. Fast forward to Monday, when the Boston Globe releases this thing saying that Warren, had her DNA done by a professional, and it came back that she was somewhere like a couple of generations removed, 1/32. They immediately had to correct it, saying it could be between 1/300 and 1/1024th Native American.
Right.
And people just said, this is kind of ridiculous, because it's almost like there's really no genetic claim at that point to really say embracing that.
Well, what I read
isn't
she 10 times more Native American heritage than someone else born in America who's like of European heritage. That's what I read, different things.
But at the same time, if we're going by the biggest number of the 1/1024th, that's pretty slim. You have more bones in the body, or less bones in the body than that percentage. So not even an entire bone of yours is that much Native American.
So you think it was a mistake for her to release it publicly?
It got worse, because then you saw progressives who came out and said, she's playing into Trump's hands and encouraging this. You then saw conservatives get riled up and say, see, she's being an idiot. I saw it and I said, why is her campaign team, A, putting this out 22 days before a midterm election where Democrats need every single thing? You don't take your foot off the gas. You stay focused on healthcare and the economy, and how you're going to keep President Trump in check. But she went out and did it 22 days before the election. And then on top of that, the Cherokee Nation came out with a blistering statement that afternoon. And, the joke was, who would have imagined that Elizabeth Warren and her team would end up having to apologize to the Cherokee Nation at the end? They didn't, but it reveals if she's running for 2020, the people around her are not competent, and they should not be advising her. She needs to drain the swamp of her campaign.
I had Deb Haaland on last night, who's a Democratic nominee in New Mexico, who will be the first Native American woman ever elected to Congress. We've never had a Native American woman in Congress. And Deb it's a very blue district, so she's going to win this. And I asked her about the whole thing, and she goes, to me, Elizabeth Warren's Native American heritage means nothing. If it is or not. But then she went through the whole list of issues that she wished that the people in the media would focus on dealing with Native Americans. And to me, that's really the issue. And I wish it would have pivoted from a discussion about Elizabeth Warren to issues of real concern for the Native American community. Many are very unique to that community, as I've learned from speaking to Deb. It's the third time I've had her on the show during this campaign cycle. So, is it now? It's a blip. It's gone. We'll see what happens.
It's not gone. Trust me.
No, I mean, it's gone for this news cycle. If she runs for president, it'll come back up. I wonder how it plays. And we'll take a break. Let's go out to, this is Colbert on Elizabeth Warren's Native American ancestry. It's clip number 9. We'll go to break and then we'll come back. We'll play our game. Guess who said it?
You cared so much. You once offered $1 million to charity if Senator Warren proved she was part Native American, a fact reporters reminded you of today.
Mr. President, you said you paid $1 million to charity.
I didn't say that. You better read it again.
Oh, we don't have to read it. Luckily enough, we're going to have somebody read it for us.
Let's say I'm debating Pocahontas, right? I promise you I'll do this. I will take, those little kits they sell on television for $2? Learn your heritage. We will take that little kit and say, but we have to do it gently. Because we're in the Me Too generation, so we have to be very gentle.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there just to point out that Trump went out of his way to stuff a Me Too joke into the middle of his racist tirade. It's like he's making a turducken. That's just all turd.
Look, it's time the media start calling out Trump's false statements for what they are. Lies. Trump is a liar. And by the looks of it, he's lying every day and twice on Sundays.
The Dean Obadala Show.
Your entire week's exhausted news broken down into one hilarious hour. What Just Happened is now live with Dean Obadala.
And welcome back, Dean Obadala Show, live here Friday, October 19th is our What Just Happened segment. Quick thing though, it's the winter time. And you know, sometimes one person in the bedroom's cold, the other person's warm because the sheets are not breathable. But Boll and Branch, buddies, our friends at Boll and Branch, our buddies there, have the new winter sheet. It's flannel, it's soft, it's warm, and it's breathable. And that makes sure everyone stays the right temperature. These new flannel sheets are just available a limited time, come in 14 stunning patterns and colors. You're guaranteed to find the style you love. Plus, try it 30 nights for free. If you don't love it, full refund. No one asks any question. They guarantee if it's not the softest sheet you've ever slept on, full refund. And I have Boll and Branch sheets. Every time I wash them, they get softer and they still look great. And here's the best part. $50 off your first order, plus free shipping. If you go to Boll and Branch, BOLL and branch.com, and you go to the promo code, fill in the word Dean, as in me, Dean, your buddy, $50 off, plus free shipping. That's right, bollandbranch.com, BOLL and branch.com, promo code Dean. And we're back with Carolina Hidalgo and Evan Siegfried, and it's time for our game within a game.
Now, it's time for America's newest game show sensation. Guess who's said it?
And welcome back. We're playing our game here with Carolina and Evan. Hey, Evan is quite good at this game.
You're dancing to the point I think you're having a seizure.
No, that's my dance. How
He's
dare
happy.
you?
You're doing an Elaine Bennis?
That's my Elaine Bennis dance. All right, let me ask you these things, and unfortunately, he's very good at this game. So,
Unfortunately, I'm better.
great.
Oh.
It's on. Oh, I like this. And here we go. I suspect, like all bullies, power corrupts. Everything is getting better. Democrats can't be trusted to be in power. A, Lindsey Graham. B, Sean Hannity. C, Donald Trump. D, Rudy Giuliani.
Do you mind repeating that?
Yeah.
Sure. I suspect, like all bullies, power corrupts. Everything is getting better. Democrats can't be trusted to be in power. Lindsey Graham, Sean Hannity, Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani.
A.
Lindsey Graham.
Wrong. Both of you
We're
wrong. Rudy Giuliani. One of the only thing he came out
My
of his hole.
former boss.
He came out of his hole, said that, and went back into hiding. All right. He's been sort of out of the media for a while now.
No, I saw him at the last Yankees game.
Is he getting booed again?
No, he was. It was actually very funny.
The game
Just a
was
little
in-
side. The closer for the Red Sox had a really interesting sort of stance before he would throw a pitch. He'd go down and
Like a
sort of
Karate Kid?
And so Rudy was there doing it right behind home plate, mimicking him, and it was actually really funny.
Oh, Giuliani. All right. Okay, here we go. I have to
missed
say
that,
at this
Rudy.
point, Michael Avenatti is as much of a good lawyer as much as Elizabeth Warren is Native American. A, Trump. B, Ben Shapiro. C, Laura Ingraham. D, Sean Hannity.
Wow.
These Lauren came up with these.
D.
D, you say Hannity. So
I'm
you
going to go with Ben Shapiro.
Right. Wrong. That's very good. But that was tough. Okay, here we go. I don't want to speculate on my worst fears, but either Trump doesn't know what he's doing or he has absolutely convoluted notion of what allows America to lead the world. A, Liz Warren. B, Obama. C, Joe Biden. D, Beto O'Rourke.
E. All of the above.
You can't. That's pretty
I think that was Biden.
Yeah, I think it was Biden too.
Both of you got that one
I
right.
got it under the wire.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. You
It
can't.
was before the thing. Thank you. Thank you, Matt.
All right, here we go. We've got more. The President of the United States is using the Oval Office and the office of the presidency as a literal bully pulpit to behave like a child without consequences.
Melania.
I was going to say that.
You can't say that.
I said it.
I think it's funny, though. A, Brooke Baldwin. B, Hillary Clinton. C, Chuck Todd. D, Tara Setmeyer.
Clinton.
I'm going to go with Tara.
You're right. That's very good. The
Who's you're telling?
Evan's
you're right.
right.
It was Tara Setmeyer. Dave Ruin. We used to do comedy together a long time ago. He did stand-up comedy for a short time, and I never knew he was a white supremacist loving, right-wing, anti-Muslim bigot lover. I didn't know that when he was younger. He's just become.
Did you know he was banned from Twitter?
Is he really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
He
wow.
is. Wow. Couldn't happen to a worse guy. So, all right, last one. I added this one. They didn't even know this. Lauren doesn't even know this one. I'll tell them the right answer. They're reporting that Jared Kushner may have, with U.S. intelligence, delivered a hit list, an enemies list, to the Crown Prince MBS in Saudi Arabia. So
Castro.
Wow, before I even gave the answer.
Because
I'm
it's
going to
a
go with
conspiracy
Castro
theory.
as well.
Which Castro?
Raul? Fidel?
Raul,
Joaquin?
Fidel.
Or Julian?
Oh, really?
Julian.
Julian. Joaquin, Julian.
The one from the Addams family. That one.
I'm not sure what that is.
Lurch?
No, you were right. It was Congressman Joaquin Castro did that one. Very good. You got that right away. How did you know that one right away?
Because I saw it happen live and I said that he's spewing a conspiracy
Why did
theory.
he do that, though? That was way out there.
Because he doesn't have the best words. And also, it goes back to what I've said. We elect idiots to Congress. And stupidity doesn't have a partisan bias.
I interviewed his brother, who came across really smart.
Who's running for president.
Right. I interviewed his brother on this very show, of course, and he was very thoughtful. He was very measured in his responses. He wasn't here. I talked to him by the phone. Some political people you speak to, they viscerally respond quickly and you get an answer. Others, like Julian a little bit, it was like he was reading off a teleprompter in a way. Like it was like focus group answers. They were very good. They were very thoughtful. But they were like, it was like 8 months ago before he was at this point. And I always think it's interesting talking to these elected officials or candidates. Some people you bond within a second over the phone, and others you feel like you're just a person on a list that they had to call at that time at night, and it's interesting.
Yeah, it was part of the problem Marco Rubio ran into in the 2016 primaries. He's sort of the perfect creation of the focus groups. Every answer was can, and that was partially also Hillary. Candidates who do that are inauthentic.
All right, so here's a topic that Evan Siegfried the Family Values Republican suggested today for us. And Evan, you have to explain the topic. It's an. Should I give the title, or you just want to tell us?
I think you should give the title because
Here's the title.
I want to hear
I'm not
you
even kidding,
say
folks.
it.
Evan Siegfried sent this, and this is the bonus topic. If we had time,
Because
here
it's
it is.
funny.
I see the humor in all this. The title is "Sex Doll Rental Company Will Make a Replica of Your Dead Lover," and that's really true. This is not an Onion thing. This is not National Enquirer. It's actually from a publication. So, a sex doll rental company, which emphasize rental, will make a replica of your dead lover. Explain more, Evan, why you're intrigued by this and what this product is.
Because it's a rental company who rents a sex doll. I mean,
that's the more intriguing part. It looks
there's
like
no
your dead
regulation.
lover.
There's no sex doll regulation that I am aware of. I mean, the Health and Human Services have to go in there with a power hose, I guess. I don't know.
Rental. It says in the article, once the dolls are returned to the company, they are thoroughly cleaned.
Yeah,
and they replace the vagina part, and they get you a whole new one. So, I actually
fool
think,
me once.
I think it's fantastic because there's a lot of people out there, maybe with disabilities or people who have trouble with anxiety and stuff like that. I think it's a great thing. I mean, the whole dead lover thing.
Well,
I
that's
don't know.
their selling point. They're
Yeah,
selling. I'm not even kidding.
That's just a
They're killing
headline,
the
though.
side businesses of people who or the overnight attendants at morgues. Are you kidding me?
Oh my God!
That is a
Here it is,
headline.
because
I do believe
the
that
mom,
sex dolls will be great.
they actually said, I'm not kidding, that in the article it said here that the woman who created a mom is offering one of the UK's first sex doll rental services, but the idea was for people who have lost their lover who had died and they want to replicate them.
And you're renting your lover? That's the really weird part.
Like, to design someone who looks exactly like someone who meant something to you and go, here, have it back, and
It's
someone
like
else
you
can
show
take
up to
advantage
your
of it. That's
20th
horrible.
high school reunion and you married your high school sweetheart, but something happened where they pass away, and then like the guy you kind of knew had a crush on your wife in high school was season is like
did
they're
you
dead.
read how much
they're
it's
like, oh
cost?
yeah, they're in.
Do you want to know how much
I
it's
can rent your
cost?
wife now? I mean, is it exclusive?
Did you guys read the whole article about how much it cost?
Like it was over like
Your
$5
soul.
grand.
$5,200.
It can go up to $5 grand. So I'm assuming like a cheaper version would be like literally a cheaper plasticky version, and then you can go up to something like that's worth more of the money. And they are backed up for months. I am all about this. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic.
Phrasing.
I don't care. Take me out of context.
Why do you
but
think-
I do agree with this wholeheartedly because there are a lot of people out there who are very lonely, or maybe a lot of people out there who who are ashamed or afraid of whatever. And I say, go for it.
And you're right on that. It's just the rental aspect that is really messed up.
You just clean it
Well,
up.
Evan was really into that article,
No.
folks. For whatever reason, I think he's doing a trial balloon to see if he can rent it and not have a lot of problems with us going like, oh, come on. But now he's talked about it.
A moderate conservative in New York. Do you know the last time I had a date was?
Well, I'm not sure. Well, next week we're gonna have Colonel Hidalgo and Evan Siegfried's dead lover is going to be on this show. The actual doll.
I didn't kill any lovers.
Let's take a break though, and we're gonna find Evan's gonna do a sketch of his dead lover for us right here on the Dean Obradala Show. Be right back.
Dean Obradala Show on Sirius XM Progress 127.
You're listening to What Just Happened with everyone's favorite host, Dean Obeidallah.
And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah's show, Friday, October 19th. Last minute of the show, my friends, last minute of the week. It's been a long week, a lot to go through. Anything you expect for next week? Any predictions for next week on anything, Evan, Carolina? Any one big thing? If you were going to predict, there's no wrong answers, you're predicting. And what will Trump do next week?
I'm going to go outside of the political zone, and I'm just going to say something I'm genuinely excited for as a person.
What?
Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out next week, and I cannot wait to play this game.
Okay, Carolina.
Do you want to come over and play with me, Dean?
Definitely not. Thank you, though. I never like to speak to you here outside of the studio at any time. This is just for this. Carolina, I'm buddies with. But Carolina, any predictions for next week? What will Trump do? Anything crazy?
He'll probably say something mean about me. And I'm just a regular person.
That would be such a great career move.
Oh my God, it would help you.
Are you serious?
I wrote an article for CNN saying Donald Trump, please mock me on Twitter, and I put actually sample tweets in it, and CNN ran it. It was like a year ago, because anyone he tweeted about went up in book sales, went up in followers. I literally wrote things like, "Don't listen to Dean Loser's show on Sirius XM Progress, low energy, not funny, hashtag," and please copy and paste one of these. We got 30 seconds.
Have one more.
20 seconds.
After the election, as opposed to next week, Roger Stone will be indicted in the day or week after the election.
Interesting. All right. Thanks, Evan. Thanks, Carolina, for being here.
Thank you.
Well, have a great night, everyone. Be back Monday with all new live show. I'm on Twitter at Dean Obeidallah. You guys Twitter.
I'm on at Evan Siegfried, and I'm on evansiegfried.com.
Carolina does okay, spelled okay.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.